What's up, my comic comrades? Today we continue breaking down James Tynion's Joker solo series. Back in May, we covered the first 2 issues, and today we're continuing with issues 3 and 4. The series thus far has been focusing on Jim Gordon after he was hired to kill the Joker, who has fled the country after his apparent gas attack on Arkham. The question is, will Gordon go through with killing the Joker? Well, maybe today we'll find out. Now, obviously, if you didn't watch our video on the first 2 issues of this series or read them for yourself, you're gonna be lost today. So check out our video on the first 2 issues, if you haven't already, right here. With that said, let's dive into issues 3 and 4 of the Joker. The issue starts off with Jim having flashbacks from the time the Joker kidnapped him during the Killing Joke story, with Jim saying to himself, "I'm ashamed to admit it, but there are still nights when it all comes back to me. That night in the amusement mile. I could feel the leather of the collar dig into my neck. I could feel the cool night air on my naked body. I could smell the sweat of the circus sideshow act, drugged up into a frenzy, dragging me toward his throne. I remember the panic rising in my chest as I tried to grapple with what was happening around me. I asked, delirious, what I was doing there, and then the voice of the devil responded, 'You're doing what any sane man in your appalling circumstances would do. You're going mad,' as we see Jim look up at the Joker on his throne. Jim continues to say, 'And for a few moments I actually believed him. It was hard not to. That's the trick to the Joker. It always feels as if he knows what you're thinking, and that he could see the words before they come to your mind. When he looks at you with his cold, sharp eyes, they cut right through you to the bone. You feel transparent and small, and then his cruel lips begin to turn up, and he says everything you never want anyone to say. When you start to break, that's when the laughter takes hold of him, and the sound of it destroys you, the self-satisfaction and the cruelty of it all.' Jim continues to say as he walks the amusement mile, remembering the night the Joker tortured him here, 'When it all started, I didn't take him seriously enough. None of us did. I thought it was a distraction from the important work I was doing with Batman and Harvey Dent. We were fighting corruption and the stranglehold of organized crime, and he was a psychotic clown who seemed to want attention more than anything else. I used to get angry when Batman would prioritize the criminals with gimmicks over the ones I thought were the real danger in the city. But time would change that, and after that night in Amusement Mile, it was never the same. The Joker had an agenda that night. He wanted to prove to Batman that one bad day could turn even the most sane person in Gotham insane. And in a way, he failed. I think he wanted to leave me a gibbering mess. But I wasn't mad. I was able to pull myself together enough to show Batman the Joker hadn't broken me. And in time, I would show my daughter the same. I would be the rock they needed me to be. But forever after that, at night, when I closed my eyes, I could see him waiting for me. I could hear him laughing." Well, that was kind of awesome. Most of you know that The Killing Joke is my favorite comic story of all time. So having the first 4 pages of this Joker comic book open up with Jim reflecting on the night of The Killing Joke, where the Joker kidnapped him and tortured him, was brilliant. That was some really cool insight hearing from Gordon about what he was dealing with that night all those years ago. Like, really good. It's one of those monologues you can dissect a whole lot, but we still have the rest of the issue to talk about and break down, so let's continue. We are then taken to present, where we see Jim Gordon pull up to a private jet that he's about to board to head overseas to hunt and kill the Joker. As Gordon gets out of the car with his luggage, the woman who hired him says, "I'm glad to see you, Mr. Gordon." He replies, "I wish I could say the same to you, Cressida." This all has me a bit unnerved, if I'm being entirely honest. She then tells him, "I have the utmost confidence in your abilities." We all do. She continues to tell him, "We've gathered some limited intelligence on the ground in Belize. There are a number of off-the-books resorts in the region, and we suggest you begin there. My man will fly you to the landing strip where the Joker arrived." She then hands Jim a credit card saying, "This is the bank card we promised. You can withdraw any amount, charge any amount." He then takes it saying, "What if I take out the full $25 million you're paying me to do this and just treated myself to a nice vacation?" She then looks at him very creepy while saying, "I don't know, Mr. Gordon. What if you did?" Now, spoiler, the reason why this woman comes off so creepy is because we know from the end of issue 2 that she works with and is from the Court of Owls. So essentially, the Court of Owls hired Jim Gordon for $25 million to kill the Joker. Cressida then tells Jim, "You're a good man. We trust you to do the job you've been hired to do. But I do hope you treat yourself a little. Get the big room with the view. Buy yourself some nice clothes. We have deep pockets and feel our interests are best served with you comfortable. So get comfortable. There'll be a bottle of champagne chilling on board. Flight will be about 5 hours, and then the hunt can begin. Bon voyage, and happy hunting." As Jim boards the plane, he sees this big Frankenstein-looking mother freaker waiting for him. Gordon just stares at him saying, "You're not gonna say a damn thing to me this whole flight, are you?" The big monster-looking guy just walks away, and Gordon says, "I figured as much." At which point, he uses his phone to text Barbara. Back at Barbara, aka Oracle's base of operations, we see she's having Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown work with her to keep track on her dad and make sure nothing goes too crazy. If you didn't know, Cassandra and Stephanie are essentially the new Batgirls, and they're working under Oracle. Of course. On the way to Belize, we see Gordon doing all sorts of research on the Joker and his whereabouts. We are then taken to a different airplane which has been hijacked by the cannibal Samson family, who are also after the Joker. They blame him for killing their brother in the Arkham attack. We also see Vengeance, Bane's daughter, on a battleship also headed to find and kill the Joker. Meanwhile, Gordon finally lands in Belize. He then tells himself the Joker is at one of these expensive resorts. But the people running these resorts, they'd be next to impossible to bring to justice in a court of law. So he goes to a local bar where the service people of these resorts go because, as he says, service people talk. And they talk even more freely when you've just bought them a few expensive bottles of liquor and you're letting them make fun of your elementary school level Spanish. There's a reason why Jim is the commissioner of Gotham, because he's good at the detective stuff, and his hunch was right. The service people gave him info about a missing businessman with a house up in the mountains near a mystery resort that nobody talks about. So of course, Jim makes his way there, gets out of the car, knocks on the door, and on the next page we see the Joker open up saying, "Jimbo, is that really you?" Jim then pulls a gun on the Joker, but the Joker's men then pull guns on Jim. The Joker then says, "Guns down, everyone, guns down. That's an old pal of mine from Gotham City. Oh, and the fun we used to have." I think this is a crap or get off the pot moment, Jim, as he holds the gun to Joker's head. Jim then lowers his gun, and the Joker says, "There we go. See, we're all friends here." Joker then says, "Oh, Jimmy boy, you showed up just in time. This sort of thing gets all too grisly without an audience." Jim then says, "What the hell are you talking about?" Joker then tells him, "See, Jim, I don't know if you're aware, but a few weeks ago, somebody gassed Arkham Asylum and blew up half the place." Gordon replies, "I know you did." Joker then says, "But you see, that's the darnest thing, Jim. I didn't. Someone just wanted everyone to think I did. And now everybody is coming to try to kill me." As we see Vengeance and the Sampson family closing in on the Joker's location. The Joker continues to say, "Jim, you're just in time for the fun. They just took out our men in the trees and they're coming up the hill now. Keep that gun drawn, Jimbo. You're gonna need it," as the Joker grabs hold of two machine guns with the comic ending. And this brings us to issue 4. Issue 4 opens up with Vengeance, daughter of Bane, in the woods fighting Joker's men while trying to make her way to the Joker. She straight up at one point even uses one of Joker's men as a bulletproof vest to catch all the gunfire while she charges. While all this is happening, we get captions of Jim talking about himself, saying how over the years, he hasn't really been that good of a husband or father, that they've always come second to his pursuit of justice. But he still thought of himself as a good man, because he was in pursuit of justice and building a better world. But that all changed after the Joker shot Barbara and tried to drive him insane. Jim then says, "I said the right things that night, and in the days and weeks after, I was ordered to take time off to recover physically and mentally, and for the first time in years, I stopped running." Jim ultimately says the next time he looked into the mirror, he saw a tired, broken old fool who pushed everyone who loved him away for his entire life in pursuit of something intangible, unachievable, something mad. Essentially saying you'll never be able to eradicate the world from all evil and get 100% justice, as we get a shot of the Joker. After this, Vengeance finally has the Joker in her sights and starts beelining up towards him, at which point the two of them start fighting. Off to the side, Jim has the Joker in his sights as he looks down the barrel of his gun, telling himself, "I could claim the 25 million. That evil would be gone from the world. Maybe, just maybe, I would stop hearing his laughter when I close my eyes at night. All I need to do is pull the trigger. But I can't. It feels wrong. I don't know who the woman in the Bane mask is. I don't know who these armed guards are. I'm seeing a whole new world of evil that has never been more visible to me, and I know I can't just fall into it myself. I don't know that I've ever felt more out of my depth, but I need to know more. I need to stop what's happening here before it spirals out of control and innocent people get hurt. If I could just get out of sight, I'll just go and call Barbara and we'll get to the bottom of this." So Gordon just couldn't get himself to pull the trigger and kill the Joker. At least, not yet. At which point, one of the Joker's men points a gun at his head saying, "Don't even think about leaving, Gordon." Gordon says, "Oh God," and then yells, "Duck, you idiot," as a bus comes crashing through the house, running over the guard. And we see on the next panel, it's the Sampson family there to kill the Joker. Joker looks at the bus saying, "Good thinking, She-Bane. It's not a party without a party bus." The Sampson brother and sister then get out of the bus saying, "That clown belongs to the Sampson family. He's coming back to Texas to meet our Pa. And boy, oh boy, is Pa hungry for some fresh clown meat." Vengeance then says the clown is coming to Santa Prisca for execution, as she has her hand around his throat. But you know the Joker, he always has something up his sleeve, at which point he detonates nerve gas canisters he spent the last few days planting around the grounds. As he detonates the nerve gas, he starts laughing hysterically as everyone else starts choking on the gas and hallucinating, including Jim. Meanwhile, back in the clock tower in Gotham City, Barbara's trying to figure out who the heck Cressida is. She's been following her every move since the airport after Gordon took off. Now, us the readers know that Cressida is part of the Court of Owls, but Barbara doesn't know that yet, and she's been prying a little too much. So much that as she's watching and researching Cressida, a talon appears behind Barbara, unknown to her. We are then brought back to the Joker, where we see he has tied Jim and the Sampson brother to a chair. We also see that the Joker has used hot metal wire and pliers to sew the Sampson brothers' mouths shut. But it doesn't end there. He then wraps the hot wire around his whole head before yanking it extremely tight, completely disfiguring his face. It's pretty gnarly. Joker then turns his attention to Jim saying, "I know you hate me. You hate me with every fiber of your soul. And you should. That's a sensible thing for you to feel after everything I've done to you. I'd say it's not personal, but of course it is. You spent so long making it easy to pretend that he was making a difference, that putting on a little bat costume and punching people matters. You made him think that the system out there can work if someone is helping from the shadows. I hope you realize he would have had some psychotic break years ago if everyone just saw him as the deranged head case he is and resisted him. You ground him. He's a hypocrite but doesn't know it. He believes. But you're a hypocrite and you know it, Jim. You don't look at the world like he does, like a dumb kid. You're a grown man and you see the world is broken. And you saw Batman as a way to get to people you couldn't get otherwise, because the world is broken. But you know it doesn't change anything. Not really. Tell me, is there any part of you that believes that Batman can finish the job? Joker then gets closer to Jim yelling, "I said tell me." Jim replies, "It's not a war that can be won." The Joker then says, "But deep down there's that little spot, isn't there? There's a part of you that thinks that there's such a thing as good and evil." And maybe there is, but you also know that fighting evil doesn't make you good. But you don't try to be good, you try to fight evil. I want to know why. Jim tells him, "I don't know that I know how to be good, but I know that I know how to fight evil." Joker then responds laughing, saying, "That's why I knew I could count on you." Joker continues to say, "Now that you entered the private detective business, I want you to solve a case for me, Jim. And you could do it while you're working the case you're already working. Who pulled the attack on Arkham Asylum?" Jim tells him, "You did." The Joker starts laughing hysterically, saying, "Tell me, Jimbo, when have I pulled a job like that and not left any kind of message? Anything that helped me take credit for my work? Why would I use gas more likely to make people die in their sleep than to let them hear the laughter growing cell by cell? Do you think I don't have 100 more interesting ways to kill Arkham Asylum in the back of my head, Jimbo? Now who's the Joker?" Jim then asks, "Why not just kill me? Why try to convince me you didn't do something I know you did?" Joker then says, "Because this is worse. I'm gonna show you how little everything you have done in your life matters, and how little your notions of good and evil factor into things. And it's gonna break you, Jim. So much more than stripping you naked in a broken down amusement park ever did. I've got more work to do before it's time to head back to Gotham. Need to make sure the bad guys don't get a chance to mess things up for me too bad. I think I'll go back to Europe next. I'm glad we had a chance to talk, Jim. Clear the air. Say a little Barbara for me," as he walks away laughing hysterically. Then on the last page of the issue, we see Vengeance find Jim saying, "You are James Gordon from Gotham City." He answers yes. She then says, "Go home, Mr. Gordon. You're already drowning in the darkness. Head back to the light while you still can," as she walks away, and that's where the issue ends. Man, guys, I'm really digging this series. It's a great dissection of Jim Gordon. This is a Joker solo series, but it's digging a lot more into the psychology and mind of Jim Gordon. And I'm especially loving how they're tying it to the relationship he has with the Joker. Because we're always used to seeing people dissect Batman and Joker's relationship, but now we're getting to see Jim Gordon and Joker's relationship. And I love it. I really have nothing but positive things to say about this series. Again, if you love Jim Gordon or the Joker, you have to be reading this story. How it dives into the mind of Jim Gordon, specifically how the Joker has affected his life, is amazing. You need to read this series. Again, just read the book. I know I just broke down these 2 issues and the previous 2 issues, but read them for yourselves to get every bit of dialogue and all the nuance. It's great. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And that's gonna bring today's episode to a close, but if you like today's episode, be sure to check out this one right here. And if you like all of our content, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. It always helps the channel out. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.